Alright, welcome back everyone. So in this video I'm gonna be taking this old concept that I have done, this environment piece, and I will try to break it down and explain what my thought process was behind all this. I will start by apologizing because you're going to notice the video is jumping all over the place constantly. And I think at that time I just had, I don't know, ADHD. Uh, Not being able to keep my canvas still, constantly zooming in and out, constantly moving around. And I tried to cut most of that out. That's something I'm going to work on avoiding in the future, so I apologize for that in advance. For what you're seeing right now, a lot of things have been skipped only because I couldn't find all the footage that I previously recorded. And it was by accident, actually. I found all this while I was cleaning out my computer. Memory was pretty much full. And then I found all these recordings which were taking up a whole bunch of space. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Why don't I actually take this and make a YouTube video about it instead of just showing a piece of art like here it is, like a slideshow. What can I really talk about? Right now, I'm pretty much designing the stones on the ground. Okay, you know what? Let me give you a little bit of a backstory. This was meant to be like a graveyard entrance, obviously, for a video game because that is my obsession. That's what I enjoy designing the most. It is my biggest influence growing up, which was playing games, and I enjoy coming up with my own worlds, basically. So the entire point of this piece you're looking at, it was basically just to enter into the basement of this catacomb, into this graveyard, and you would go and explore that level. That was the entire point of that piece, and everything else around it is just meant to sell that shot. That's really it. So right here, I am working on breaking down. I'm treating it. I'm treating it like you're a character in a video game, and you're looking into this shot, and you are going to explore around this particular environment that I put together. And here, I'm trying to come up with many different ways that you could explore this location, and I'm using these stone patterns to kind of treat it like an arrow, basically pointing at different areas that you can maneuver and explore. So you can see these are some of the references that I was inspired by, which is, I believe that's Gothic. It's the Gothic period, really, Gothic architecture. I find it very fascinating, and I like to mix that with Victorian period. So, putting those two together, this piece definitely I was going for a type of game like Diablo. That's something I played a lot, Diablo 2. So I wanted to come up with a type of world that would resemble that kind of a game that I grew up playing. Basically, I'm drawing what I enjoy drawing. That's really it. I'm just creating a world that I really wouldn't mind exploring if it was in a game, if this was ever built into a game. Because I don't have much experience when it comes to drawing and designing, I'm just all over the place. Basically, whatever captures my attention, whatever is going through my head in that moment, I just go and solve that. So I don't I don't have a funnel, a pipeline that a professional would go through. I try to stay organized, but I can't help but be all over the place. That I see right now that I did, which was a big mistake, and it's something that I still struggle with, which is I put way too much, I solve too much, or I should say I detail too much on a rough stage. I detail so much at times that when I go to the final cleanup, I am pretty much redrawing the rough twice with cleaner lines. And I think that's a disadvantage because it actually slows you down. Like I personally am, I know I'm investing way too much time on the rough. I don't have experience yet where I can do a rough sketch and look at the rough sketch and understand it's enough information for me to take it to the final copy, and then actually add all the details while I am quote unquote cleaning it up, because it's not really a clean drawing, but it's cleaner than the previous sketch that I've done. I don't know if that really makes sense. If you watch a professional like Feng Zhu, he's my basically all-time favorite concept artist that I look up to big time, and I give a lot of credit to. A lot of things that I'm learning is because of him. What I'm saying is, if you see his roughs, they're very rough, and then when he takes it to his final design, you will see that all the details that were important, he added right onto his final sketch while he was cleaning it up, instead of doing a rough with everything put in place and then doing another copy. The reason that's a disadvantage is because it consumes too much time. It's just not, the time is not well invested. I hope I'm making sense. I'm really just blabbing what my struggles are, and maybe you could relate to it. Anyway, let's get back into this sketch. I am starting to play with a little bit of, add a little bit of color just to make it fun. So when I was adding a little bit of grass detail, I would basically paint that in a little bit, add some green colors in there. When it comes to candles, I would just use yellow. The reason I do that is basically I try to make it fun. Yeah, it's because I was spending so much time putting this piece together that eventually you naturally get bored. You naturally get bored of working on it. You want to walk away and do something that's a lot easier, like not draw. So some things that I do is I just introduce a little bit of color to make things fun. It helps my brain calm down from trying to figure all the functionality and all the design challenges that I'm facing. Or sometimes I just take a very fat brush, drop the opacity, drop basically values, treat it like it's like a watercolor canvas, and I just make a mess. And then I just put a new layer on top and actually get back into designing. Basically, I'm just going up and down, in my head. It's like, okay, this is very, very challenging, and I push through as much as I can. And then I'm like, okay, do something a lot easier. So it's a lot, basically the graph comes down, it's not so challenging, and I just keep going. And then I go back to something that's very challenging. It's like up and down until things make sense, because again, I'm not a professional, not even close. So when I am designing things like this, sometimes even parts of it, like that gargoyle, it took 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times of attempts to actually make it work, to make sense out of it. Because just because it makes sense in your head doesn't mean it will when you actually put it down. That's what I do. I try to find ways to make my sketch process a little bit more enjoyable. I know drawing is supposed to be fun, and when people see it or hear about it, they're like, oh, this is great, this is so fun, it's not so stressful. But it can be very stressful depending on what your goals are. So I am trying to actually design something that's functional, and it's not a subject matter that I'm too familiar with. Parts of it I am, but when you're sitting there and you're trying to figure all this out, eventually you run into walls, and it's not so great. So when it's not so great, instead of giving up, you have to find ways to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Here, I'm figuring out the gates that are right by the stairway entrance, and I pretty much sketched one of those spiky looking things, and I am trying to replicate that on the other side. I'm fast forwarding a lot of things because I found it a little too boring to watch the process. But what I could talk about quickly is I made sure that not every single of those metal pieces, the spiky pieces sticking out, to be all straight. Basically, I bent some, I broke some, and because those root looking things, or maybe some evil creatures tentacles, are sticking out of that door, breaking through. So instead of everything being so linear and straight, I am constantly thinking about adding character, not just to the entire piece, but to individual components of the piece. That's something I learned a long time ago from a very good artist. He told me you should be able to, because he was working digitally, he said you should be able to zoom in to your work and every part should be able to stand out on its own, and that stuck with me. So that's one of the reasons I like to zoom in, work on one section, and make sure that section looks really good to my taste, to my liking, and then I move on, and then I can use that as reference to relate it to other parts of this piece. And then when I zoom out, everything should work together. Everything should have continuity. It should have harmony. Here I am working on the stonework, and clearly it needs a lot of love. I didn't want to just draw stones. I wanted to break this apart. I wanted to add character. That's something I'm going to use over and over. It's adding character into pretty much just about every part of your designs, which is something I like to do because it just makes it more richer. It makes it more believable. It makes it more enjoyable to look at. It's not dull. So I'm always thinking, if I was really playing here, if I was in this environment and I had to pass through because it was part of the game, something like this would make me want to stop and really soak this in. It would make me want to digest all this. It would make me want to look around and enjoy all the hard work and creativity that went into that particular piece. I'm not someone, when I play games, I don't like to rush through it, especially when I could tell the designers put a lot of effort into their creation. So to me, the exploration part is just as exciting, if not more exciting, than playing the game. So that mentality, that mindset, is what gets me to push this far when I'm working on pieces. Here I am working on the stonework. That's basically wrapping around that X you can see over here. And I could have used Photoshop digital tools to draw all those those circles, I guess, ellipses, really, in circles in perspective. I just wanted to really work on it. I just wanted to do it traditionally. I wanted to treat this like it's a traditional piece. So I sketched every line out. You don't have to do these things. This is just a personal preference. And then I laid some lines down, lines that are just projecting out, that represents the perspective lines. And I started laying the stones out, basically one by one. There's no texture work, there's no 3D work, there's no shortcuts. I'm actually drawing all this out. The only quote-unquote shortcut that I have is that I'm working digitally, which allows me to make unlimited mistakes. And that's it. The rest, it's just, I just put some things on a different layer if I'm not very confident about what I'm doing. I work on it in that layer. Like right here, you can see when I was trying to figure the water fountain out. Over here, the reason it looks so just like a thick black marker, it's because I really had trouble figuring this one out. So what I do, that's one of the things that I do, is when something challenges me big time and I know I'm gonna struggle with it, take a big fat marker, lower the opacity, well, basically I should say a digital brush, and I just come up with a silhouette, and then I just drop the opacity, put a new layer on top, and then pick a smaller brush, and then start figuring out that silhouette, that idea that I have in my head. Here, the whole point of that fountain was to I don't want to just draw a fountain. I wanted to come up with a new fountain design. And because this environment is meant to be on the ominous side, basically bad people are around this place. It's evil, it's demonic, so you need to be cautious. So I wanted to, for the design of the fountain at the very top, I put three fallen angels, and they're posing together. And as you go down to the water fountain, you're gonna see snake heads everywhere, and people's faces, like souls that have been consumed. And then for the waterfall part, I wanted basically faces where this is not original. It's you can look this up, that part where a mouth is open and water is shooting out of it. So I wanted to incorporate that at the bottom of it. Once again, I'm working on this by itself, and I want to make sure it stands alone and it looks really good. And then I would incorporate it into the environment that I'm working on, and as a whole, hopefully it makes sense. And it did, after pulling my hair so much trying to make it work. Alright, I guess the video just ends there, so I apologize. I actually thought I had more footage that I recorded, but anyway, what I could do now is break this down quickly and show you my layers. And let's go ahead and turn this on. Alright, let me just burn through this quickly. First thing you can see over here, super rough pass, you can see the upper part. See if I could draw on this. Yeah, so you can see I was trying to capture the whole, all the branches, framing the shot. I wanted to add this pathway, a pathway here, going this way up the stairs, down here, or in reverse, same thing. Initially I had no water fountain, which I found this space to be quite empty. And the main shot, which was going down the stairs, entering into this place, and then going underground to explore. This was the shot. Oh yeah, here I added some colors to indicate the two torches, which I found them to be quite nice. Why is this not right here? Here I did a very clean pass. I sketched all this out. It was a painstaking process trying to balance this out. Oh yeah, here this is a value pass. Oh yeah, I left this on another layer because I did another pass for these branches coming in the fountain that I was designing. This is another pass, which you can see it's starting to look a lot more alive. Here is, let me turn that off for a second. Yeah, you can see it's starting to make more sense, starting to look good. However, as I was saying in the video earlier, I make some mistakes, such as going too crazy with adding details. This one is still pretty rough, but that's a lot of stones that I laid. I could have backed off. Like, look at this. I added way too many things, so it makes me not want to. Like, I know if I clean this up, I'm basically drawing it twice, and instead I should stay quite loose and rough. Look at all these stones here. Like, I pretty much laid everything out before doing another pass. That's something I gotta work on. This is my scale. I used the perspective that I had, and then I was laying characters around that environment. Here, let me turn this on, and let me drop the opacity so you can see what everything looks like in perspective using a character scale. The reason I do this, it's because so I know what my scale makes sense, because if I didn't put a guy here, back here, I wouldn't know that this environment, I mean this part of the graveyard is actually massive. In my head it just looked like a normal size, it was good enough. But once I put a figure in here using the perspective grid, I realized this you know, this structure is enormous. It's pretty much a building of its own. It could be a piece of its own. So doing this helps control scale. This is my grid. I used basically after I did my rough, I went and I created this grid using Sketchbook. If you guys want to see me create this digitally generated grid using the free version of Sketchbook, comment below and I'll make a video about it. Until then, if nobody really cares, then what's the point of making that video? This is the final sketch that I did. Oh yeah, because I sometimes draw too much on a rough layer instead of waiting till I get to my final layer. I took parts of that rough design that I did and I just pulled them in right into the final copy. So you can see if I zoom in, you can see how rough these stones are. I pulled them in here and I just cleaned them up a little bit because I just didn't want to draw everything twice. Same with all these roots. I just cleaned them up a little bit and blended into the final sketch. And you can see over here I treated all this so that it has more life. Obviously insert it across because that's something I like to put into my designs as a Christian. Back here I just put more graves to fill up that space. And over here you can see the stairs going down. These were supposed to be crows, but they just look like some generic birds. That's just because of my lack of drawing skills. These were starting to get a little crazy. Trying to control that and not make it too busy. Oh, definitely got a little busy here, but whatever. I like the roots or the bottom part of the tree. I should say trees, and how the roots are expanding out. This is the water fountain. I think it's a cool design. And the gargoyles. So this one is not broken. I decided to break the second one. And you can see the pieces are down here. The reason I did that because it just adds more character and depth to this piece. You can see like there's just so much happening. I can zoom in. This statue here is different than this statue. You guys, your chest boxes. So it's like, oh, cool. I can go explore. I can go grab loot from here. I can go grab loot from here. And before I enter this location and continue exploring, why don't I go in here? Let's see what's here. Let's see what's here. Let's go in here. You see what I'm trying to do? I'm adding as much depth and character into one shot, so that if this was put into a game, you would really want to explore. It would make it, I should say, yeah, it would have a big time replay value. It would, like, when I'm looking at this sketch that I did, I would want to explore this. I actually enjoy going. I would really enjoy exploring this place if I was playing this. And this is the final piece. Let me turn that off. I focused. It's not really, I wouldn't call this a painted piece, even though it looks like a painting. I just focused on value, darkening up this place, getting some blue moonlight in here, adding the highest contrast in the center, which is the money shot, where you're supposed to go if you were playing here. I tried to figure out how all the shadows would work, how the shadow and the lights would work here. Added some cool red lights on these birds. I mean, red eyes, I should say. Whoopsie daisy, what is going on? Yeah, that blue water just glowing a little bit. candles and I don't know, red roses or maybe blood, grass growing between these broken old stones. Yeah, this is it. This is a piece that I'm definitely proud of. Which is why the previous video that I made, I was just making fun of it because it was just so sloppy and silly compared to the amount of effort I put into this piece, which is now my new standard. And I'm mentioning this because this is a healthy competition. I'm competing against myself. I look at my best of the best work that I've created, and I'm like, now that's my aim, is to match that and exceed that, instead of look at someone that's incredible, has been doing this for like 20-30 years, and then feeling horrible that you can't draw like them. That's really that's unrealistic, and you shouldn't do that. You should compete against yourself. You should put your best foot forward, and then you should aim to outperform yourself. That's very healthy. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for those that stuck around and watched it to the end. I hope I didn't bore you to death. If you like this kind of content, whatever else I have been publishing on my YouTube channel, definitely hit that like button. Drop me a comment, help the engagement going. If you want to see more content related to everything that I've been doing, then definitely consider subscribing so that I could be encouraged to keep going and keep doing this. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. See you in the next video, and God bless you guys. Bye.